Biography X, Lives of Real People.
Subscribe to the Biography X channel, like and comment, and enjoy. Hi, I'm Cristiano Ronaldo, and this is my complete autobiography. I love being Cristiano Ronaldo, I love what I do, I love my life. I'm happy. I consider myself a winner. I win more often than I lose. I always try to stay focused. I know it's not easy, but nothing in life is easy. If it were the other way around, we wouldn't be born crying. I have a strong competitive spirit, and it will never be any other way. Of course, I'm getting older and more mature, but the way I think will never change. I believe in my abilities. And I always have. I am who I am. What I do, what others see, that's the real me. I've never changed my behavior for others. If they like me, great. If they don't, they better stay away from me. They shouldn't come to my games. Those who know me know who I really am. They know my character. I value my family very much. I was close with my father, and I'm still close with my mother, brother, and sisters. My family is my inspiration. They always support me. They're always there when I need them. They help me a lot, and I try to support them the same way they support me. Those who know me well like me. The few people I live with, the people I train with, the people I work with, they all think highly of me because they know the real me. Of course, other people might think differently about me. They don't know me. I understand them. I always say what I think. I tell it like it is. Perhaps that's exactly what many people don't like about me. I don't pay attention to what people say about me. I don't read newspapers or magazines. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion. There are a lot of rumors and lies around me. That's the price of fame. I think people envy me because I'm rich, good-looking, and a great footballer. There's no other explanation. I'm always ready to learn new things and listen to other people's opinions. I'm easy to live with, and I'm very lucky. If I need to talk about something, I always have the best friends in the world to listen to me. I'm an ordinary guy, and I feel the same way as everyone else. I'm the kind of person who loves a challenge. My whole life is focused on finding new challenges. I'm usually a positive and calm person. Good relationships with people are more important to me than money. Quality of life is more important than money. I received an excellent education. My parents taught me to be myself and not change for others. If people like me, great. If they don't, I don't care. I like it when people around me are happy, satisfied, and smiling. You won't achieve anything in life unless you overcome barriers like the ones I overcame. As a child, when I lived in Lisbon, I cried every day. And today I cry. I cry a lot. Tears of joy and tears of sadness. Crying is good. Tears are a part of life. I don't have time for people who lie to me. For me, lying is one of the worst character traits. Lying irritates me. Talking endlessly isn't my style. Talking a lot is bad for your reputation. I don't like to talk about my personal life. I don't try to draw attention to it, but I don't hide anything either. Let people spread rumors if they want. If people want to sell a story, that's their business. I'm not interested. I'm a good guy, but no one is perfect, including me. There are days when being Cristiano isn't easy, days when I should do something right, but I can't. I know how to deal with that, and frankly, I like it this way. My full name is Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro. I was born on February 5th, 1985, in Funchal, Madeira, Portugal. I grew up in a family of 6. My older brother, Hugo Aveiro, born in 1975. 2 sisters, Elma, born in 1974. Liliana Katia, born in 1977. My mother, Maria Dolores, and my father, José Diniches Aveiro. My mother admitted that, due to the family's financial difficulties, she wanted to terminate the pregnancy, but doctors refused. My sister, who was working in an orphanage at the time, said that if it was a boy, we could name him Cristiano, my mother recalls. She thought it was a nice name. My parents liked the name Ronaldo because of Ronald Reagan. And so it happened. My sister chose Cristiano, and my parents, Ronaldo. My family lived modestly in a working-class neighborhood, in a house with a corrugated iron roof. I shared the room with my brother and sisters. That concrete apartment building no longer exists. In 2007, The house at Quinta do Falcão, 27A in the Santo Antonio neighborhood, was demolished due to fears that squatters would occupy the building. My mother worked as a gardener and cook, and my father as an equipment man at the local football club. Incidentally, my father's very first gift was a soccer ball, which we still keep as a family heirloom. One Christmas, my godfather Fernão Xuxa gave me a radio-controlled car, but I preferred to play with the ball. I even slept with it. The ball was always under my arm. Wherever I went, the ball was with me. When I was a kid, I didn't just want to be a footballer. I wanted to be the best footballer in the world. I had a dream, and I knew I'd have to work hard to achieve it. My obsession with football began when I was 2 or 3 years old. I played on the narrow streets of Madeira, where I had to stop when cars passed, missing shots, and forgetting to eat. My godfather, Fernão Xuxa, remembered me. All he wanted to do as a child was play football. He loved the game so much that he would skip meals or climb out of his bedroom window at night with a ball. I went to kindergarten at Externato de São João da Ribeira, a school run by Franciscan nuns. At 6, I went to primary school at the local school. I attended middle school at Gonçalves Zarco, better known as the Barreiros School, named for its proximity to the Barreiros Stadium, home to the famous Portuguese team, Marítimo. I wasn't the most diligent student, but I wasn't stupid either. I was happy just to pass an exam. When I came home from school, my mother would tell me to go to my room and do my homework. But I always replied that I didn't have any homework. My mother would go to the kitchen to cook dinner, and I would climb out the window, grab some yogurt or fruit, and run away with the ball. Sometimes I would play outside until late at night. And if I wasn't satisfied, I would skip class and go play soccer. My teachers told me my mother should punish me, but my mother never did. I needed a lot of practice to become a soccer star. I always played soccer with my friends. It was what I loved to do. That's how I spent all my time. I played in the street because there was no football field in the area. It was especially difficult on Quinta do Falcão Street, with cars, buses and motorcycles constantly whizzing past. We'd always clear away the stones marking the goal line and wait for the cars to pass. We'd organize serious matches between teams from houses, gangs or friends. Our games never ended. I remember the only respite we got was when the ball landed in a neighbor's garden. And if it was Senor Agostinho's garden, the old man would always threaten to puncture the ball and report it to our parents. I'll try to tell my entire journey, date by date, through some of the most important and interesting events in my life. And of course, throughout the story, I'll recall various situations, good and bad, that happened to me. In 1986, the World Cup was held in Mexico. I was 2 years old, watching it on TV with my family. It was then that I witnessed a dramatic moment that I'll never forget. My idol, the Brazilian footballer Zico, missed the decisive penalty in the match against France, resulting in Brazil's elimination from the tournament. In 1988, I was 3 years old, still very young. My father, who worked as an equipment man at the local club Andorinha, often took me with him. Even then, I was always with a ball in my hands, imitating the older players. It was during this early childhood that I began playing football. From 1992 to 1995, at the age of 8, I joined the Academy of Andorinha, a local amateur club where my father worked as an equipment man. In training, I stood out not only for my technique, but also for my size, or rather, my lack thereof. Even at that young age, coaches noted my remarkable talent, ambition, and distinct difference from the other kids on the field. I was slim and agile, and earned the nickname Abelhinha, Little Bee. I flew around the field like a mad bee. My first official match for Andorinha took place on December 19, 1993, against Câmara de Lobos. I scored a goal in my debut, helping the team to a 4-0 victory. My rookie season of 1993 to 1994 was a milestone, and I remember it for its incredible thirst for victory and passion for the game. On August 1, 1993, a few months after starting training, young me won my first trophy. I was named best player at the Adelino Rodrigues Children's Tournament, held in Madeira. This period marked the beginning of my competitive career and the formation of the character that would later make me a legend. Even at a young age, my main trait, a pathological desire to win, was evident. Team players and coaches recall that I couldn't stand losing. I would cry and become extremely upset if my team lost or if I failed on the field. Because of this, I earned the nickname Crybaby. For example, during that period, in one match of the 1993 season, my team, Andorinha, was losing 0-2. I was in tears. However, in the second half, I managed to pull myself together, scored 2 goals, and led our team to a comeback victory, 3-2. My unstoppable energy and skill already set me apart from my peers. From 1995 to 1997, I transferred to Nacional, a more serious club on the island, where my talent was spotted by scouts from Sporting Lisbon. This transfer is notable for its unusual price. Nacional acquired me for just 20 footballs and 2 sets of new jerseys. It's worth noting that this transfer also had a dramatic story. My father wanted to send me to another club, Marítimo, but its representative didn't show up for the decisive match. In my very first season with Nacional in 1995, I achieved success. With the team, I won the 1012-year-old championship in Madeira. It was the first trophy of my career. My former teammate, Tiago Goes, recalled the first training session after I, small and skinny, passed several defenders. After that, no one laughed at the newcomer anymore. My success at Nacional attracted the attention of leading Portuguese clubs, including Porto and Boa Vista, as well as scouts from Sporting Lisbon. During the Easter holidays of 1996, I had to fly to Lisbon for a week-long trial. I had never flown before, I had never even left the islands. It was the most difficult challenge I had ever faced, so I was nervous and hadn't slept the night before. My godfather, Fernão Suchá, accompanied me to Lisbon. Of course, at that point, I preferred to go to Benfica, the team my father and brother supported. But my mother always loved Sporting, and she had a hunch I'd become the next Luís Figo. Besides this, it was simply impossible to refuse an offer from one of Lisbon's greatest clubs. Sporting has the best youth academy in Portugal, which has produced Paulo Futre, Figo and Shimao, João Pinto, Quaresma, Hugo Viana, and Nani. I was confident I could prove myself. I already knew I was a good player and thought I could convince the coaches. But I was only 12 years old, and when we finally arrived, the youth club's training field seemed enormous to me. Coaches Paulo Cardoso and Osvaldo Silva came to watch me play. They weren't impressed by my build, a small, skinny boy, but when they saw me in action, their opinion changed. I'm from Quinta do Falsão. I take the ball and dribble past 2 or 3 opponents. I'm ruthless. I put on a one-man show, dribbling and feinting my way around the field. The Sporting coaches were impressed with my performance. They wanted to see me in action. Tomorrow, on the training field next to the old José Alvalade Stadium. This time, Youth Club Director Aurélio Pereira would be there to watch me. After a week in Lisbon, I'm returning to the island. Now, the coaches must finalize all the details of my transfer. At the age of 12, I signed a contract with Sporting Lisbon on April 17, 1997. This was a crucial step for my future in world football. Sporting paid 22,500 euros for me, a 1-2-year-old. This was considered a very large sum for me, a child. My transfer was arranged as part of a debt settlement. Nacional owed Sporting exactly that amount for the transfer of another player, Franco. To settle the matter, Sporting offered to take me to pay off the debt. The main proponent of this transfer was my coach at Sporting, Aurélio Pereira. He personally watched me at the tryout and was amazed by my talent. To convince the club's management to invest such money in me, a child, Pereira wrote a letter to the financial director, in which he emphasized that this would be an excellent investment in the future. The scouting report noted outstanding talent, superb technique, and an ability for dribbling and feinting. Interestingly, as a child, I liked Sporting's main rival, Benfica Lisbon. Despite this, it was my move to Benfica that determined my future career. Sporting subsequently valued my contribution so highly that they named their academy after me. Academia Cristiano Ronaldo. On the one hand, I had a happy childhood. On the other, it was unusual, because I separated from my family and moved to Lisbon at the age of 12. It was a difficult experience. Everything was different there. Everything was more difficult. Lisbon was a new world for me. I called home 2 or 3 times a week. They bought me a 50-unit phone card, so I could make calls. It was sad to hear my mother's voice. That made me even sadder. My mother always tried to cheer me up and taught me to ignore those who bullied me at school. She calmed me down and assured me that my life and future now depended on Lisbon and the Sporting Youth Academy. You learn a lot about yourself during difficult times. You have to stay strong and focus on what you really want. My peers made fun of my Madeiran dialect. My difficult personality was on full display. At Sporting, I was known for my temper at school. I once swung a chair at a teacher, later responded rudely to a coach, and got into fights. My behavior was so defiant that the management gave me a choice: change my attitude or leave the club. In one match, I was benched for the entire game as punishment. Despite all the difficulties, it was during this period that the traits that would make me a superstar emerged. After training, I stayed on the field, demanding extra exercises. On Sundays, when Sporting played at their stadium, I served as a ball boy, returning balls back into play. I watched the club's greatest players play, soaked up the atmosphere on the pitch, and earned a few arrows. At the end of each match, my friends and I would pool our money and go to a pizzeria. We'd eat 1 pizza there and take 2 to go. My first salary at Sporting was 10 contusions a month, about 50 euros. This was enough to cover the cost of textbooks, notebooks, a school bag, as well as clothes and other personal items. But one day, my mother had to call the club and say, "I didn't buy lunch at the canteen, I spent the money on a chocolate bar." It's funny because, even though I was forced to grow up quickly, I was still a child. I regret never enjoying my childhood. I was expected to act like an adult, live on my own, take responsibility, do laundry and cleaning. I was there to learn football, not be a child. Finally, life at the academy started to improve. Thanks to my extraordinary talent and hard work, I began to adapt to my new life and became the center of the team. The other players started passing the ball to me because they knew I was the best. One day, a gang attacked me and 3 of my teammates on the streets of Lisbon, intending to rob them. I was the only one who didn't try to escape, even though I was the youngest of the 4. I desperately tried to protect the little money we had. The bandits were left with nothing. In 2000, at the age of 15, I was diagnosed with tachycardia, a rapid heartbeat. I underwent laser surgery at the Hospital de Coração in Carnaxide, a suburb of Lisbon, Portugal. Energy was delivered through a catheter to cauterize and eliminate the abnormal conduction pathway in my heart. The surgery was swift and successful. My mother, Maria Dolores, was horrified and feared my career would be over before it had even begun. I was surprisingly calm about the situation. My main question to the doctors at the time was, when can I get back on the field? And within a few days, I was back training. In 2000, my talent first attracted the serious attention of top clubs. Former Arsenal scout Damian Comolli spotted me, 15-year-old Ronaldo, at a youth tournament in France. Comolli was so impressed that he called me a phenomenon and arranged 2 visits to Arsenal's training center, where I met my idol, Thierry Henry. However, the transfer ultimately fell through the London club couldn't find the necessary funds to meet Sporting's demands. July 2002, my first day with the new team. Romanian coach Laszlo Bălăni invited me and 3 other reserve players, Custodiu, Carlos Martins and Paita, to take part in pre-season training. I hope to play well and stay in the starting lineup. I'll do everything in my power and try to live up to the coach's expectations. Playing alongside João Pinto and Jardel is a dream come true. All young players look up to them. We played our first match 5 days later against Samoquense, a first division team from Setúbal. We won 9-0. The next game against Rio Maior ended 5-0 for Sporting. I was at my peak and scoring goals, but Bellany decided to tread carefully. I was used to playing centrally, but the manager put me on the left flank. He said his speed would be useful there, and he also felt I wasn't physically ready to play against the team's midfielders yet. I didn't disappoint the coach. I'm fast, I controlled the ball well, and I created problems for the opponents. On July 14, the coach repeated this lineup during the opening match of the 2002 season. Sporting fans and shareholders gathered at the Alvalade Stadium. We were playing Olympique Lyonnais, the current champions of France. We drew, but the fans were introduced to the jewel in the crown of the Sporting Academy. It's true, I scored a goal on my very first appearance on the field, which I had recently stepped onto as a mere boy. On October 7, 2002, I scored my first 2 goals, a brace, in my professional career in the Portuguese Championship, in a match between Sporting and Moreirense. We won the match 3-0. That year also brought a story that illustrates how arduous my path to professional football was. Irish defender Phil Babb joined Sporting in 2000. During one training session, I beat him with a few feints and scored a goal. In response, Babb, to teach me a lesson, hit me with a forearm, causing me to fall. During the season, I was spotted by then Liverpool manager Gerard Houllier, but the Merseysiders decided against signing me, believing I was still too young and needed time to develop my skills. Inter made a similar decision. Arsenal manager Arsène Wenger was also interested, even sending me a personal invitation to London. Offers came from Spanish clubs Valencia and Atletico Madrid, while Italian clubs Parma and Juventus made specific offers of over €10 million. By the end of the season, I had played 25 league matches, 11 of which were in the starting lineup. I scored 3 goals in the league and 2 in the Portuguese Cup. August 6, 2003, in a friendly match between Sporting and Manchester United, which was timed to coincide with the opening of the Estadio José Alvalade in Lisbon. We won 3-1. In that game, I provided an assist for Luis Felipe and impressed Sir Alex Ferguson, the head coach of the English club Manchester United. My transfer to Manchester United was significantly accelerated after this game. August 12, I signed a contract with Manchester United for a record fee for a teenager in England. £12.5 million and a salary of €2 million per year. My transfer from Sporting to Manchester United was one of the most profitable investments in the history of football. I received the legendary number 7 shirt, previously worn by George Best, Brian Robson, Eric Cantona and David Beckham. Incidentally, I became the first Portuguese player in the history of Manchester United. On August 14, I made my debut for Sporting CP in the second leg of the third qualifying round of the Champions League against Inter Milan at the age of 17 at the Estadio José Alvalade in Lisbon. The final score was 0-0. This result, along with a 0-2 defeat in the return leg in Milan, led to my team, Sporting, being eliminated from the tournament. 25,000 spectators attended the game. I played 32 minutes, coming on as a substitute in the 58th minute for Spanish midfielder Tonito. I wore the number 28 for this match. I immediately tried to show off my signature moves and made several runs down the right flank, drawing approving roars from the stands. My actions showed speed and a desire to beat my opponent one-on-one, although my passes were not always accurate. My debut was preceded by a strong preseason performance, where I scored an impressive goal against Betis. This attracted a lot of attention, and the Portuguese press had already begun to write about me as a future star. Record newspaper urged, "Remember this guy's name. He's fast, a superb dribble player, and always knows where the goal is." That match against Inter became my first step on the path to international recognition. Although I wasn't able to help the team advance to the Champions League group stage, it was from that moment that my professional career at the highest level began. August 16th, I made my Premier League debut at Old Trafford in Manchester against Bolton, a 4-0 win for Manchester United. I replaced Nicky Butt in the 61st minute and immediately turned the game around. I tormented the Bolton defense on both flanks, demonstrating skill and speed. At first, I had a hard time adjusting to the more physical style of play in England, where defenders were given more freedom to move than in Portugal. My direct opponent, right back Nicky Hunt, later said of me, "I ran into him twice, and then he just did what he wanted to me." In that match, I earned a penalty, which Van Nistelrooy missed, and played a direct role in one of the goals, providing an assist on a cross near the goal. On August 20th, I played for the Portugal national team for the first time. I turned 18 then, becoming an adult. It was a friendly match between Portugal and Kazakhstan. I only appeared on the field in the second half, replacing Real Madrid legend Luis Figo. In the 64th minute, Simão Sabrosa scored the only goal of the match and we won 1-0. On November 1st, 2003, I scored my first goal for Manchester United, a free kick in a 3-0 win against Portsmouth. On February 25th, 2004, I made my first appearance for United in the Champions League against Porto. I finished the season with Manchester United in third place. However, our club still had a chance to win the FA Cup. In the final against Millwall, I scored, and my team ultimately won 3-0, winning the tournament. I finished the season with 8 goals in 40 matches across all competitions. I won the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year award, voted by United fans. The award is named after former Manchester United manager Sir Matt Busby, under whose leadership the club won 5 league titles and the European Cup, and also rebuilt the team after the Munich air disaster. This season, Manchester United finished third again. I helped my team reach the FA Cup final, scoring against every opponent except Middlesbrough in the last 16. May 22, 2004, I won my first trophy, the FA Cup, scoring in the final against Millwall. October 9, 2005, I scored Manchester United's 1000th Premier League goal in a 4-1 defeat against Middlesbrough. June 11, 2006, my first World Cup appearance in Germany. We lost 1-0 inches the Portugal versus Angola match. I started the game but didn't score much. In the 23rd minute, I received a yellow card for a foul on an opponent and was substituted midway through the second half, having played a total of 60 minutes. June 17, I scored my first World Cup goal in a match against Iran. Midfielder Deco Souza opened the scoring in the 63rd minute. My goal, a penalty, was scored in the 80th minute. We won 2-0 inches the second round of the World Cup group stage. In 2006, I won my second trophy in English football, the League Cup, scoring in the final where United defeated Wigan Athletic 4-0. Following the 2004-05 and 2005-06 seasons, I was again named FIFPro Young Player of the Year by fans. After the scandal at the 2006 World Cup involving Wayne Rooney sending off, I expressed a desire to leave the club, but Ferguson persuaded me to stay. The incident that occurred in the 2006 World Cup quarter-final between Portugal and England, where English journalists claimed that it was because of me that Rooney was sent off, was untrue. I pointed out Wayne's foul to the referee, but I didn't ask for a red card. Rooney was outraged by his teammates' behavior and pushed me away. The referee ultimately sent Wayne off. I later apologized to Rooney, and my relationship with my teammate was restored. At the end of December 2006, I scored 3 consecutive braces against Aston Villa, Wigan Athletic and Reading. In November and December 2006, I was named Premier League Player of the Month, becoming only the 3rd player in the competition's history to win 2 consecutive awards, after Dennis Bergkamp in 1997 and Robbie Fowler in 1996. On February 4, 2007, I was accused of simulation in a match against Tottenham Hotspur when I earned a controversial penalty in a clash with Steve Malbranc. On February 6, 2007, I captained the Portugal national team for the first time at the age of 22, in a friendly against Brazil, which we won 2-0. On April 10, 2007, I scored my first goal in the Champions League knockout stages, netting twice in a 7-1 victory against Roma. I helped the club reach the FA Cup final, but United lost 1-0 to Chelsea. On April 13, I signed a 5-year contract with the club, which also included a salary increase to £120,000 per week, making me the highest paid player in Manchester United history at the time. At the end of the season, I was named Footballer of the Year and Young Footballer of the Year by the Professional Football Association, matching Andy Gray's achievements in the 1976 season. A key factor in my success that season was my personal training with René Meulenstein, who taught me to play more unpredictably, helped me improve my teamwork, and taught me to seize every scoring opportunity rather than wait for the chance to make a spectacular impact. On May 5, 2007, in the derby against Manchester City, I earned a penalty in the 33rd minute and converted it myself. It was my only goal of the match and my 50th for United. After that match, we, the Red Devils, won the 2006-07 Premier League title. On September 19, 2007, in the Champions League group stage, I made my first appearance against my former team, Sporting, and scored a goal, which of course I didn't celebrate. On January 12, 2008, in a match against Newcastle United, I scored my first hat-trick for Manchester United in a 6-0 victory. In the match against Reading, on January 19, I scored my 23rd league goal, the same number of goals I had scored in all competitions in the 2006-2007 season. In the Champions League last 1-6 tie against Lyon, I scored the only goal, securing a 2-1 aggregate victory, and we advanced. On March 19, 2008, I captained United for the first time and scored both goals in a 2-0 win over Bolton. My second goal in that match was my 33rd of the season, setting a new club record for most goals by a midfielder. I scored 42 goals that season. This broke George Best's record of 32 inches the 1967 season. On April 1, in the Champions League quarter-final against Roma, I opened the scoring with a header from a Paul Scholes cross. United won the match 2-0 and extended their lead 1-0 inches the return leg. In the semi-final, Manchester United faced Barcelona, and I played against Lionel Messi for the first time. In a match at the Camp Nou, I earned a penalty when my header was blocked by Gabriel Milito's arm. I fired the penalty over the bar. The game ended goalless, and we won the return leg 1-0. On May 21, 2008, in the 2007 Champions League final in Moscow against Chelsea, I opened the scoring. Chelsea managed to fight back, and regulation and extra time remained tie-breaking. In the penalty shootout, I tried to outplay Petr Cech, stopping short of his shot, but Petr saved it. John Terry subsequently missed his penalty, and we ultimately won the Champions League. I was named UEFA Man of the Match. During that season, I maintained my impressive game, but also expanded my repertoire with new skills. I learned to shoot with my left foot, improved my free kicks and headers, and became more involved in the team. My goal-scoring performance made me not only the Premier League's top scorer for the season, 31 goals, but also the first winger in history to win the Golden Boot. I also won the English Footballer of the Year award for the second consecutive time, according to both journalists and players. On June 5, 2008, Sky Sports reported that I was interested in joining Real Madrid. Manchester United filed a formal complaint against Real Madrid's illegal attempts to lure me and sent it to FIFA on June 9. But FIFA declined to impose any sanctions against the Madrid club. Speculation about my future continued for much of the summer, until I announced on August 6 that I would be staying at United for at least another season. An ankle injury kept me out for 10 weeks, returning to action on September 17 inches, a 2008 Champions League group stage match against Villarreal. On November 15, 2008, I scored my 100th and 101st goals for Manchester United in a 5-0 win against Stoke City, both free kicks. After those two goals, I had scored against all 19 other Premier League teams. At the end of 2008, on December 2, I was awarded the Ballon d'Or at the age of 23, becoming the third Portuguese player to do so after Eusebio and Luis Figo. Already named the best player in Europe, I won the Club World Cup. In the final, against Copa Libertadores winners LDU Quito, I provided the assist for Wayne Rooney, who scored the only goal of the match. I was awarded the Silver Ball. On January 12, 2009, I received the FIFA World Player of the Year award as the best footballer in the world in 2008. On April 15, 2009, in the second leg of the Champions League quarter-final against Porto, I opened the scoring with a 40-meter strike. This was the only goal of the match, and at the end of the year, it earned me the Ferenc Puskás Award for the best goal of the year. In the Champions League final, Manchester United faced Barcelona. The press focused on my rivalry with Messi, including for the 2009 Ballon d'Or. Barcelona won 2-0. On June 11, 2009, Manchester United accepted an offer from Real Madrid to sell me to the Spanish club for £80 million. The final agreement was signed on June 26. I became the most expensive player in the history of world football, breaking Zinedine Zidane's record. My contract with Real Madrid ran until 2015, and I was to receive €11 million per year. The contract also included a €1 billion release clause. Representatives of the Glazer family stated that the transfer was fully agreed upon with Ferguson. After completing my transfer to Real Madrid, I expressed my gratitude to Ferguson for helping me develop as a footballer. He was my father, in sporting terms, one of the most important and decisive factors in my career. The transfer fee, which stood at the top of the all-time footballing record until 2013, was the highest in the history of football. My transfer to Real Madrid. On July 6, 2009, my presentation to my new club took place at the Santiago Bernabeu, attended by approximately 80,000 people. Since Madrid captain Raúl already wore the number 7, which was my number at Manchester United, I chose number 9. I played my first match for Real Madrid on July 20th. It was part of pre-season training, and my opponent was Irish team Shamrock Rovers. My official Real Madrid debut came on August 29, 2009, in a match against Deportivo La Coruña, which we won 3-2, and I also scored my first goal. In my first 4 matches for the club, I scored every goal. In my first Champions League match after joining, I scored twice against Zurich, both from free kicks. On September 30th, in the second Champions League group stage match against Olympique Marseille, I opened the scoring, but then defender Souleymane Diawara brought me down in the penalty area and stamped on my ankle. I tried to continue the match and scored Real Madrid's third goal, but was then substituted. My injury affected my international appearances. In the match against Hungary, I left the field in the first half and was forced to return to the club. I was diagnosed with a sprained lateral ligament with inflammation and swelling of the ankle. I missed a total of 55 days. On November 29, I played my first El Clásico against Barcelona. In December, I lost the competition for the Ballon d'Or and the FIFA World Player of the Year award. Despite a 2-month absence due to injury, I managed to secure my place on the left side of midfield. In my debut season, I scored 33 goals in 35 matches, becoming the team's top scorer. After Raúl's departure, ahead of the 2010 season, I finally took the number 7 shirt. Since that season, the team was under the management of a new head coach, José Mourinho, who replaced Manuel Pellegrini. The Portuguese manager didn't see me as a center forward and rarely assigned me that position. June 17, 2010, my eldest son, Cristiano Ronaldo Jr., was born. On October 3, 2010, I scored 4 goals against Racing. Despite my impressive scoring record, I didn't make the top 3 for the 2010 Ballon d'Or, which was composed entirely of Barcelona players. On February 6, by scoring 2 goals against Real Sociedad, I set a Real Madrid record. It took me 51 matches to reach 50 league goals. The previous record belonged to Ferenc Puskás with 54 matches. On May 21, I set a new scoring record in a single Spanish league season, scoring 40 goals, surpassing the previous record held by Hugo Sanchez and Telmo Zarra by 2 goals. This achievement earned me the Golden Boot. My only team trophy that season was the Copa del Rey, where I scored the only goal against Barcelona in the final in extra time with a header. The 2011 season was my most productive since the start of my career, scoring 60 goals in all competitions. My 100th goal for Real Madrid came at the Camp Nou in the Spanish Super Cup. Real Madrid reached the Champions League semi-finals, where they faced Bayern Munich. In the return leg, my brace sent the game into overtime. but the team lost on penalties and unfortunately I missed my shot. On May 5th, I played a match against Granada, which marked my 100th in the Spanish league. In that match, I scored the 300th goal of my professional career. At the end of the season, Real Madrid won their first Spanish league title in 4 years, earning a record 100 points in Spain. I finished second in both the Ballon d'Or and the Golden Boot voting, ahead of Lionel Messi in both cases. In the 2012 Spanish Super Cup matches against Barcelona, he scored the goal in both matches, helping Real Madrid win the trophy. On October 4, 2012, in a match against Dutch side Ajax, he scored his first Champions League hat-trick. On October 7, he scored twice against Barcelona, making history as the first player to score against the Blaugrana in 6 consecutive matches. Thanks to his performances in 2012, he again finished second in the Ballon d'Or voting. After the winter break of the 2012 season, he was named Real Madrid captain for the first time in an official match. On January 27, 2013, he scored his 300th club career goal with a hat-trick against Getafe. In the Champions League round of 16, he played for the first time against Manchester United, his former club. In the first leg at the Santiago Bernabeu, I scored the equalizer, and the outcome of the match was decided in the second leg at Old Trafford. As in the first leg, I scored a goal, but this time it was the winner Real Madrid advanced. As a sign of respect, I didn't celebrate my goal against my former club. On May 8th, I reached 200 goals for Real Madrid, which I scored in 197 games for the club. Scoring 12 goals in the Champions League, I became the competition's top scorer for the second time in my career. I scored 55 times in all competitions. At the start of the 2013 season, I signed a new 5-year contract with Real Madrid. Along with forwards Karim Benzema and Gareth Bale, I formed an attacking trio popular among fans and journalists, nicknamed BBC, an acronym for Bale, Benzema, Cristiano. By the end of November, I had scored 32 goals in 22 matches for club and country, including 5 hat-tricks. I finished 2013 with 69 goals, my highest tally of the calendar year. Thanks to my efforts, I won the Ballon d'Or for the second time in my career. On January 6, 2014, in a match against Celta, I scored the 400th goal of my career and dedicated it to my compatriot Eusebio, who had died 2 days earlier. Alongside my individual achievements, Real Madrid was also achieving success, winning their 10th Champions League trophy. In the quarter-final against Borussia Dortmund, I played my 100th Champions League match. The goal I scored in that game was my 14th in the competition, equaling Messi's record set 2 years earlier. In my second match of the next stage of the tournament, I broke that record, scoring twice against Bayern Munich in a 4-0 win. Despite knee problems and the medical team's advice to avoid the Champions League final, I decided to play in the match. In the final, against Atletico Madrid, I became the first player to score in 2 Champions League finals for different winning teams. I finished the season as the Champions League's top scorer for the 3rd time in my career, with 17 goals, setting a new tournament record. I won the European Footballer of the Year award. Despite Real Madrid only finishing 3rd in the Spanish league, I was the league's top scorer. I scored 31 goals in 30 league matches, earning me the Pichichi Trophy and the Golden Boot. The latter award I shared with Liverpool striker Luis Suarez. At the end of the 2013 season, I was named the best player in the Spanish league and also the scorer of the best goal in the league. During the 2014-15 season, I set a new personal best, scoring 61 goals in a season across all competitions. On December 6, in a match against Celta, I became the fastest player to reach 200 league goals in 178 games. That winter, I won my 2nd consecutive Ballon d'Or. On April 5, 2015, I scored 5 goals in a single game for the first time in my career, 3 of them in 8 minutes, as Granada lost 9-1. 3 days later, against Rayo Vallecano, I scored my 300th goal for Real Madrid. A hat-trick against Espanyol in May of that year allowed me to surpass Alfredo Di Stefano on Real Madrid's all-time goal-scoring list. At the end of the 2014-15 season, Real Madrid finished second in the Spanish Championship and also reached the semi-finals of the Champions League. I scored in both matches against Juventus, but our team still failed to reach the final. Ultimately, with 10 goals, I became the top scorer for the third consecutive Champions League, this time sharing the title with Messi and Neymar. I scored 48 goals in the Spanish League, winning the Pichichi Trophy for the second consecutive time and my fourth Golden Boot, a record at the time. At the start of my seventh season at Real Madrid, I became the club's all-time top scorer. My 5-goal trifecta against Espanyol on September 12th brought me to 230 goals for Real Madrid in the Spanish League, surpassing the club's previous record holder, Raúl. My brace against Malmo on September 30th took me past 500 career goals, both for club and national team. On October 17, I officially surpassed Raúl. A 3-0 win against Levante increased my number of goals scored with Los Blancos to 324. In the second match against Malmö, I played a role in 6 of my team's goals, scoring 4 and providing 2 assists. One of my 4 goals against Celta Vigo on March 5, 2016 was my 252nd in the Spanish League, making me the second highest goal scorer in the history of the league. A hat-trick against Wolfsburg allowed Real Madrid to come back from a 2-0 deficit and advance to the Champions League semi-finals. My high-scoring performance took me to 16 goals in the tournament, making me the Champions League's top scorer for the 4th consecutive season and 5th overall. Due to health issues, I had a lackluster performance in the final against Atletico Madrid. But I still managed to convert my penalty in the penalty shootout, helping Real Madrid win their 11th Champions League title. For the 6th consecutive season, I finished the season with more than 50 goals in all competitions. For my performance during the season, I was named European Footballer of the Year for the 2nd time. I was forced to miss Real Madrid's first 3 matches of the 2016 season, including the 2016 UEFA Super Cup, while continuing to recover from a knee injury sustained against France in the Euro 2016 final. On November 19, I scored a hat-trick against Atletico Madrid, becoming the all-time leading scorer in the Madrid derby. On December 15, in the 2016 FIFA Club World Cup semi-final against Mexico's Club America, I scored my 500th career goal. Real Madrid won the tournament, and with 4 goals to my name, I finished as the top scorer. At the end of the season, I won the Ballon d'Or for the 4th time, as well as the Best FIFA Men's Player Award. In the first leg of the 2016 Champions League quarterfinal against Bayern, I scored both of my team's goals, which allowed me to become the first player to score 100 goals in European competition. In the second leg of the quarterfinal stage, I scored a hat-trick and reached the 100-goal mark in the Champions League itself, also becoming the first player to do so. Real Madrid managed to beat the German team and advance. On May 2, in the semi-final of this year's Champions League, I scored another hat-trick, allowing Real Madrid to defeat Atletico Madrid 3-0. By the end of the season, I had scored 42 goals in all competitions, and Real Madrid was able to win its first La Liga title since 2012. In the Champions League final against Juventus, I scored twice, becoming the first player to score in 3 Champions League finals. I also scored my 600th career goal. Real Madrid won the Champions League for the 2nd time in a row. July 10, 2016, Portugal won the European Championship. At the Stade de France in Saint-Denis, a suburb of Paris, France. Portugal versus France. In the 8th minute, I was injured in a collision with French striker Dimitri Payet. We beat France 1-0 inches extra time. Eder scored the only goal in the 109th minute. Our midfielder, Renato Sanchez, became the youngest European champion in history. He was 18 years old at the time of victory. The defeat was France's first in the final stages of a tournament on its soil since 1960. On June 8, 2017, my 2 children, twins Eva and Matteo, were born. And on November 12, my daughter Alana Martina was born. On October 23, 2017, I received the Best FIFA Men's Player Award for the 2nd time in a row. On December 6, in a match against Borussia Dortmund, I scored a goal, becoming the first player to score at least 1 goal in all 6 Champions League group stage matches. A day later, I won the Ballon d'Or for the 5th time. On March 3, 2018, I scored twice in a home match against Getafe. The first of my goals was my 300th in the Spanish League, scored in 286 matches, cementing my title as the fastest player to reach this milestone. On April 3, in the 2017-18 Champions League quarterfinals, I scored twice in an away game against Juventus, my second goal being an overhead kick. In the second leg, I scored the goal that propelled Real Madrid to the semi-finals, converting a penalty in stoppage time. Real Madrid lost the match 3-1, but still advanced 4-3 on aggregate. In the final, Real Madrid defeated Liverpool, earning me my 5th Champions League title and becoming the first player to win the competition 5 times, excluding the European Cup. With 15 goals, I became the tournament's top scorer for the 6th consecutive season. My move to Juventus. On July 10, 2018, I signed a 4-year contract with Juventus. It was my decision. The 112 million fee I paid was the largest ever spent on a player over 30 years old, as well as the largest transfer fee in the history of Italian football. After the transfer, I stated that I made the decision because I needed a new challenge, but I later spoke about the lack of support I received from club president Florentino Perez. On August 18, I made my Juventus debut against Chievo in the opening round of Serie A. On September 16, I scored my first goal for my new team, a brace in a 2-1 victory over Sassuolo. On September 19, I received a straight red card in a Champions League match, the first time I've ever played in the competition. I became the first player in history to win 100 Champions League matches. In 2018, for the first time in 2 years, I finished second in the voting for the European Footballer of the Year, the Best FIFA Men's Player, and the Ballon d'Or awards, losing out to my former teammate Luka Modric in all 3. In January 2019, I won my first trophy with Juventus, scoring the goal that secured victory over Milan in the Italian Super Cup. On March 12, I scored a hat-trick against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, helping Juventus reach the quarterfinals. On April 10, I opened the scoring in the quarterfinal against Ajax, drawing 1-1. I scored again in the return leg, but Juventus ultimately lost 2-1 and were eliminated from the competition. On April 20, I became Italian champion when Juventus defeated Fiorentina. I became the first player to win league titles in England, Spain, and Italy. On April 27, I scored my 600th goal in my club career, equalizing the 1-1 draw in the Italian derby against Internazionale. In my first season with the Bianconeri, I was named Italian Footballer of the Year. On September 23, 2019, I finished third in the Best FIFA Men's Player Award. On December 18, while challenging for a high ball, I leaped 256 centimeters over the crossbar, scoring the winning goal against Sampdoria. On January 6, 2020, I scored my first hat-trick in Serie A, helping the Old Lady defeat Cagliari 4-0. On February 22, in a match against Spal, I scored a goal in my 11th consecutive Serie A game, equaling the league record set by Gabriel Batistuta and Fabio Quagliarella. This match also marked my 1000th in professional football. On June 17, 2020, I played in the Coppa Italia final against Napoli, which Juventus lost on penalties. On June 22, I converted a penalty against Bologna, overtaking Rui Costa as the most prolific Portuguese player in Serie A history. On July 4, I scored my 25th goal of the season, converting a free kick against Torino. I became the first Juventus player to achieve this feat since Omar Sivori, and it was also my first free kick goal in 43 attempts with the Bianconeri. On July 20, I scored 2 goals against Lazio. One of my goals was my 50th in Serie A. I scored 50 goals in 61 Serie A matches, making me the fastest player to reach this milestone and the first player in history to score 50 goals in the English, Spanish, and Italian leagues. At the end of the season, I again won the Serie A title. Juventus exited the Champions League at the last 1/6 stage, losing to Lyon on away goals. I scored twice in the return leg, but the aggregate score was 2-2, giving the French team the right to advance. On September 20, 2020, I scored a goal in my first league match against Sampdoria, helping my team win 3-0. In October, I contracted COVID-19, forcing me to self-isolate for 3 weeks. On November 1st, I returned to the field against Spezia, coming off the bench in the second half and scoring within the first 3 minutes. A short time later, I scored my second goal from the penalty spot, helping my team to a 4-1 victory. On December 2nd, I scored against Dynamo Kyiv in a Champions League group stage match, marking the 750th goal of my professional career. On December 13th, I played my 100th match for Juventus, in all competitions, scoring 2 goals, both from the penalty spot, helping my club beat Genoa. I subsequently finished second in the Best FIFA Men's Player Award, behind Robert Lewandowski. On August 22, 2021, I started the first game of the new season on the bench, replacing Spaniard Alvaro Morata, in a 2-2 draw against Udinese. Although manager Massimiliano Allegri confirmed that this was his decision due to my fitness, this came amid reports that I would leave the club before the transfer window closed. And I told Allegri that I had no intention of remaining a Juventus player. On August 26, my agent Jorge Mendes reached a verbal agreement with Manchester City regarding personal terms. But the following day, the club pulled out of the deal due to the overall transfer fee. That same day, it was reported that Manchester United had entered into talks for my transfer, with former manager Alex Ferguson and several former teammates in contact to persuade me to return to United. My return to Manchester United. On August 27, 2021, Manchester United announced an agreement with Juventus. On August 31, the transfer was completed. I joined United for £12.5 million, signing a 2-year contract with the option of a further year. I was given the number 7 shirt after Edinson Cavani agreed to switch to number 21. It was reported that shirt sales in the first 24 hours after the transfer broke the all-time record. On September 11, 2021, I started my first match since returning to Old Trafford against Newcastle United, scoring twice. On September 29, I scored the last-minute goal in a home Champions League match against Villarreal, giving the team a 2-1 victory. I also overtook Iker Casillas as the record holder for most Champions League appearances. On October 20th, in the next Champions League match, I scored again in the last minute, helping United overcome a 2-goal deficit in a 3-2 home win over Atalanta. On November 2nd, in the return leg against Atalanta, which was tied 2-2, I scored both goals, including a last-minute equalizer. On November 23rd, I became the first player to score in 5 consecutive Champions League matches for an English club, scoring in a 2-0 away win against Villarreal. My 6 goals were crucial in United's progression to the last 1-6 as group winners. On December 2nd, 2021, I scored twice against Arsenal, scoring my 800th and 801st professional career goals. I became the first footballer to officially score over 800 goals at professional level. The following month, after a breakdown in relations with my teammates and interim head coach Ralf Rangnick, my performance and that of my team throughout the season declined, and I equaled my worst goal tally since 2010, when I was at Real Madrid, going 2 months without scoring. On February 15, 2022, I scored my first goal of the new year, opening the scoring in a 2-0 home win against Brighton and Hove Albion. After a hamstring injury forced me to miss the Manchester Derby against Manchester City, I returned on March 12th, scoring a hat-trick in a win over Tottenham Hotspur, surpassing Josef Bican's career goal record of 807. On April 16th, I scored my 50th club hat-trick in a 3-2 win over Norwich City. On April 23rd, I scored my 100th Premier League goal in a 3-1 draw against Arsenal. I was named Premier League Player of the Month for April. He finished the season with 24 goals in all competitions, 18 of which came in the Premier League, placing him third on the league's goal-scoring list, behind Golden Boot winners Mohamed Salah and Son Heung-min, and was named in the Premier League Team of the Year and the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year award, given to the club's best player of the previous season. However, after finishing in a disappointing 6th place and qualifying for the Europa League, he was left without a trophy for the first time since 2010. Following growing dissatisfaction with United's management, on and off the pitch, I missed the club's pre-season tour of Thailand and Australia due to family reasons. My agent, Jorge Mendes, began negotiations with various clubs about a loan or free transfer, including Bayern Munich, Paris Saint-Germain and Chelsea, with the latter club's new owner, Todd Bowley, interested in a possible move. However, due to my age, the overall transfer fee and the high wage demands, many European clubs turned down the opportunity to sign me, including Chelsea after their head coach Thomas Tuchel disapproved of my signing. Failing to secure a transfer, I lost my place in the starting lineup to Marcus Rashford and Anthony Martial, featuring only in Europa League matches. On September 15th, I scored my first competitive goal at the age of 37, converting a penalty in a 2-0 win over Sheriff Tiraspol. On October 2nd, I was an unused substitute in United's 6-3 win over Manchester City, with Ten Hag saying he refused to field me out of respect for my great career. On October 9th, I came on as a substitute and scored my 700th career goal in a 2-1 win over Everton. On October 27th, I came on in United's 3-0 home win over Sheriff, scoring the third goal and securing United's place in the Europa League knockout stages. On November 6th, Ten Hag named me captain for the 3-1 win over Aston Villa, saying I had been an important part of the team, they were happy with me, and now I have to take on an even bigger leadership role. On November 14, 2022, excerpts from an interview I gave to Piers Morgan were published. In the interview, I stated that I felt betrayed by new United manager Erik ten Hag and 2 or 3 other people in the management who wanted me to leave the club, adding that I had no respect for Ten Hag because he had shown no respect for me. Regarding the club itself, I stated that there had been no evolution since former manager Alex Ferguson's departure in 2013, despite expected changes in technology and infrastructure. Following the interview's publication, Manchester United engaged lawyers to sue me for a possible breach of contract. On November 22, 2022, I terminated my contract with the club by mutual consent. My new journey in Saudi Arabia with Al Nassr. On December 30, 2022, I announced the signing of a 2.5-year contract with Saudi Arabian club Al Nassr. I received the highest football salary in history, €200 million per year. This included a guaranteed football salary of €90 million per year, as well as commercial and sponsorship deals, bringing my total annual salary to €200 million. I was also paid a €100 million signing bonus. I declined an offer to join Sporting Kansas City to join Al Nassr. On January 19, 2023, I played in a friendly match with a team of Al Hilal and Al Nassr players against Paris Saint-Germain, scoring 2 goals. He made his Al Nassr debut on January 22, 2023 in a national championship match against Al Ittifaq. He scored his first goal for the club on February 3 inches, a league match against Al Fateh. On February 9, 2023, in a match against Al Wahda, he scored 4 goals, surpassing the 500 goal mark in national leagues. On February 25, in a league match against Damak, he scored a hat-trick, which earned his team a victory. In the 2023 season, I set a new Saudi Arabian league record by scoring 35 goals. I also became the first player to win the scoring title in 4 different leagues. In January 2025, I extended my contract with the club until the end of June 2026. Under the terms of the new agreement, I will now receive a 5% stake in the club, and my salary will be €183 million per year. In the 2024 to 2025 season, I again became the league's top scorer. In June 2025, I extended my contract with Al Nassr until 2027. Under the new agreement, I will earn a record €263 million per year. June, at the World Cup, I became the first player to score in 6 World Cups. I played in all 4 matches for the Portugal national team at the World Cup and scored 3 goals. The match against Uzbekistan on June 23rd was my biggest highlight of the tournament. My double in the 6th minute pass from João Cancelo, and in the 39th minute pass from Bruno Fernandes. Our 5-0 victory. Then the playoffs. In the round of 16 between Portugal and Croatia, my goal in the 7th minute and Gonçalo Ramos's in the 9th minute led to a 2-1 victory. In the round of 16 between Portugal and Spain, we suffered a narrow 0-1 defeat. At 41 years and 138 days old, I became the oldest scorer of a brace at the 2026 World Cup. I moved into clear second place for all-time goals for the national team at the World Cup, with 10 surpassing the legendary Eusebio. But unfortunately, I didn't manage to win that championship. This has been my journey, and it certainly isn't over yet. Many people talk about talent. Forget that word. Talent is just a ticket to the front row. To win a match, you have to sweat your soul in training. When you sleep, I kick the ball. When you celebrate, I kick the ball. When you doubt, I still kick. Because I know, success is not an accident. It's a choice you make every morning when the alarm rings and your body aches. I've experienced humiliation. I've heard people boo me. I've seen critics write that I was finished at 30. And you know what? I'm grateful to them. Thank you for not believing in me. Thank you for giving me the anger that turned into energy. Without your doubts, I wouldn't have 5 Ballons d'Or. Without them, I wouldn't have scored 900 goals. My most precious treasure is my family. My dear beloved wife, Georgina, and my children. Cristiano Jr., Eva, Matteo, Alana, Bella. When I score a goal, the world screams my name. But when I come home, they just scream, Daddy. And that's the only title I'm willing to give everything for. Georgina, you showed me that being strong doesn't mean being alone. It means being able to love. It means waking up not for fame, but for the smiles on 5 little faces and 1 look from you. I've won everything in football. But my greatest achievement is being able to set an example for millions of fans and, of course, for my children, so that they can see, if you want something, you have to pay the price. With tears, with blood, with sweat, with lack of sleep. But in the end, you'll look in the mirror and say, I did it. I'm better than I was yesterday. Now, looking back, I don't see the path. I see the mountains I've jumped over. And I'm happy. I'm happy because I know my story isn't over. It continues with every kick of a ball in the backyard where I play with the little ones. It continues with every "see you" we shout at dinner. So, if you're at the starting point, if you're scared, take that step. Don't wait for someone to believe in you. Believe in yourself. Work as if everything could be taken away from you tomorrow. And one day you'll look back and realize the sky is not the limit. This is just the beginning. I am Cristiano Ronaldo and I'm still hungry. But most importantly, I love and I am loved. And that makes me the richest man on earth. If you love football, then you'll definitely enjoy watching Cristiano Ronaldo. I have the opportunity to do what I love most in life, play football. I've already won everything there is to win in football, but I'll never stop trying to win more until the day I retire. That's just who I am. I know you can be in bad shape, but I don't believe it can let you down. Inner focus is crucial when you want to achieve your goals. And the key to achieving them is to keep setting those goals. My goal is to be the best. And if I achieve that, great. Although, really, I'd just like to be remembered as one of the best players in history. I'm grateful to God for winning the award for best player in the world. But I'd love to win it again, this year or next. I'll definitely win the Ballon d'Or again. I know I'm a versatile player, although there's always room for improvement. I'm not talking about individual elements of my game. I'm talking about the overall game. You have to become a good player as a whole. You can't just focus on shooting or dribbling. Dribbling and feints are my style of play. I've been playing like that since I was a kid. I like to feint and trick my way past my opponent. I know it irritates players when I dribble past them, or use a scissor kick or a back heel. No, I don't mean to make fun of them. It's just my style. I didn't change it when I played in England, and I don't plan to abandon it in Spain or Brazil. My scoring technique is a secret I'll never reveal. I just think about which side I'm going to approach from, look at the goal line and the defenders, and then I shoot the ball. At that moment, I say to myself, do it well, Cristiano. I always try to score goals, play well, and help the team. But I never tell myself I have to score in every game. If you think like that, you won't score a single goal. If you have the talent, ability, and technique, the goals will come naturally. So I don't get upset if I don't score. If I play well, if the team plays well, the goals will come. It doesn't matter where we play or who we're playing against. Every time I step onto the field, I give it my all, play the best I can, and do everything I can to help the team win. When I come home after a loss, I don't talk to my mom or other family members. They know me and understand how I feel at that moment. Everyone knows I cried after some of the lost matches. My weak point? I don't know. I try to be the best on every level, not just physically, but mentally as well. There's no aspect I work on more than others. I just want to get stronger. Footballers are people too, and naturally, what happens in our lives affects us, just like it does everyone else. But the higher your professional level, the stronger you are, you don't let personal things affect your game. That's what we get paid for. This season, I'm calm and focused on football. Sometimes I enjoy life, and at other times I work hard. On holidays, I can let off some steam with friends, but when I'm working, you can't fault me. I try to be a role model for others as a professional, and this shows when I play. If you party every weekend, you won't be able to give your all on the pitch. I like to take care of my body. It's an important part of my life and my profession. I don't have a special program. I just train. I eat whatever I want, but in moderation. I have good genes and don't gain weight, but I train a lot to stay in shape. When I'm on the field or in training, I'm happy because I love football. It's my passion, it's what gives me joy. I consider the guys on my team friends because I spend every day with them. The team is my second family. Besides the people I live with, I spend most of my time with the team. I like it when there's a friendly atmosphere in the locker room, when everyone is happy and in a good mood. When I go out on the field, I have no fear. Opposing defenders don't bother me. They're there to do their job. I don't believe any player wants to intentionally hurt you. 99% of the players play fair and just try to do the best they can for the team. Of course, some will try to foul me, but if they fail, they can't stop me. But I try not to think about it. I believe the football industry should protect the players who try to make the game easier and more fun, who try to put on a real show for the fans. This is the most important thing, because football wouldn't exist without fans. It's only thanks to fans that teams like Real Madrid, Manchester United and Barcelona are famous all over the world. I try to ignore provocations. They have no place in football. People who try to stir things up are just looking for trouble. What others say doesn't bother me. I ignore it. When someone says nasty things about me, I ignore them. I only hear those who shout about how great that Portuguese guy is. I don't need insults to motivate me. Those who insult me are the first to approach me for an autograph when they meet me on the street. I don't understand why they're so negative toward me. I really don't. I can understand fear, but not rudeness. People love you at the airport, but hate you on the pitch. That's what my teammates say, and it seems true. I'm not one to spend the entire evening at home watching matches. It's not that I don't like football. I just don't like watching it on TV. I prefer to play. When I'm not on the pitch, I only watch Real Madrid games and only the big ones. If I weren't a footballer, I'd go back to school. But I trained with Sporting Lisbon from the age of 16, so I had to drop out of school. I'd study marketing or be a PE teacher. I'd like to be remembered as a role model, as a footballer who always gave 100%, who put on a great show, and who won absolutely every title and award.